Good afternoon. I just got back from a week and a few days vacation, and I thought I would talk about that trip. It was a trip to Acadia in the state of Maine. The map that I've got up here shows the carriage trails that are part of the Acadia National Park. They're called carriage trails because they were originally built for carriages by the fucking awful billionaire Rockefeller. But they are now part of a national park, and they represent sort of easy grade access points through the park. They're easier than the hiking trails up and down the hills and mountains. Uh, and so we were there for 8 days, and on 4 of those days, we went for a hike along some of these carriage trails, and each day's hike was about 10 miles. One of them was 13, one of them was 9. Uh, the original thought, right, my vision was that we would complete all of the carriage trails and hike on all of them. But you can see in the center point here, we didn't get around Eagle Lake, which is odd because that's one of the very popular trails. And we've hiked that in previous years, but I think we just would have needed an extra day to get back into it. This hike here in red uh, was our first day, and was probably the hardest of the days. This second, or the second half of it, goes up several of the peaks. They're not huge peaks. They're maybe 3,000 feet, maybe. But I had been very concerned going in that I wasn't in shape to do this. I got a new pair of hiking shoes, and for the months beforehand, I was trying to get out for longer walks with the dogs. But the most I'd done was like a 6 mile walk on a Sunday morning with the dogs. So I knew I could do 10 or 15 miles. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it again the second day. And it turns out that it was hard. So that we did the red on day 1 and the blue on day 2. And this was really a beautiful hike. Coming down to the bottom here, this goes up, called Day Mountain. And then from Day Mountain, you can look out over the oceans, over the ocean. And then we trekked back up here to where the car was parked. So we parked and then figured out a loop each day. Third day started at Jordan Pond, which is a very popular area. There's a cafeteria that sells food, and there's a big gift shop. So it's a popular access point to the trail system. We hiked back out. You can see we almost made it back up to where we had ended the first day. Then we went down south. This lighter gray here that are privately owned carriage trails. There's a homeowners association that owns that land. Trails are accessible, but they are private land. So I'm trying to think of a suitable comment about enclosure and private land ownership, but I think maybe that's a different video. Between day 2 and and the third hike, between the blue and the yellow, we did have a day off. On Tuesday, the weather forecast was particularly bad, and we also realized we were tired, and a day's break would be good. Actually, no, I got that backwards. Day 3 was the green hike up here. We did that on the Wednesday, and then day 4 on Thursday was the yellow down at the bottom. So why am I telling you all this? Well, here's a selfie of me. You can see the familiar. Yeah, there you go. I've visited Acadia. I don't know, maybe half a dozen times in the last dozen years. Um, uh, my oldest friend lives in Maine, and we try to get together once or twice a year. And one of those times is often up in Acadia. And so the landscape and the place that we stay in, here's the back porch, is filled with memories. And this trip in particular, I felt very much that the house we were staying in, which is the same house that we stay in every time, and the walking around the trails, the memories felt like physical objects, or at least very pertinent objects within the mind. And I know this is because of the practice that I've been engaged in for the last year or so, where with the Sam Harris Waking Up app, and then with my own involvement with Bon Buddhism, this is where I'm at with my practice. So it's no surprise to me that this vacation that I've been looking forward to for all year was then an opportunity, or presented itself with these memory objects. And it's as if the house and the landscape itself contain these memories, which to me is what psychogeography is. It is an excursion into the space between the individual psyche, the individual memory landscape, and the external physical landscape. And when there's more than one person involved, then the relationships become ever more complicated and meaningful. And then actions that we take in the landscape, whether it's creating a cairn, or simply marking out a pilgrimage path, a particular hike, those become objects that attract further meaning, a further valence of meaning. Some of these other pictures, just extraordinarily beautiful landscape. And as we walk, I mentioned that I was a bit unsure whether I'd be physically capable of doing it, and I kept in mind the Stoic practice of returning to the question, what if this were the last time? What if this were the last time that I'm doing this? And for something like this, which I don't live in Maine, I live in Pennsylvania, and if you look at a map of the United States, it's a ways away, and there's absolutely no guarantee that the conditions that align so that my friend and I can spend this week together. It's actually a miracle that it has happened as often as it has. And so I found myself at many points in these walks where we were out hiking around in beautiful weather like this. I found myself wondering, what if this were the last time that I'm there, in that particular location? What if it's the last time that I'm here in Bar Harbor, Acadia? Last time I'm in Maine? The last time I'm able to travel? We talked a lot on that first day about retirement. We're both in our mid-50s. And, I think most people our age expect to work for another 10 years to 65. But in the last year or two, I've really scrutinized that assumption. And I don't want to work that long. Um, I don't know that I have that much health left in me. I'm certainly going to do everything I can to um, gracefully age. Uh, but I have neurofibromatosis, and it's a chronic and debilitating condition that so far I've been incredibly fortunate to have managed with surgical intervention. But I cannot count on that continuing. The recurrence of tumors in my head, a gradual breakdown of the nervous system as these tumors continue to grow. And like I said, I've been very fortunate in the treatment, the successful treatment over the last 15, 20 years. Uh, but that's what it is. It's good fortune. So retirement, the prosaic question of retirement, what if I stop working in 5 years? Well, I wouldn't be in the financial situation that I would be if I were to continue working for another 5 years, particularly because at that point it would be kind of, the mortgage paid off, children taken care of. It would be just sort of accumulating resources. So my retirement income would be significantly less than what I would ideally want it to be. But but this is what I was realizing as we were hiking along here. Um, I may be okay with that. I may be okay with not having the resources that I have now, if I have the time, if I have time. And then beyond that, there are always things that I have not done. And you know what? I think that along with the um, precipitation of memory as form on this vacation, the equal precipitation of things I have not done and things that I will likely never do, that I probably always thought I would do, places I thought I would go to, um, music I thought I would write. But here's the thing: I do have some options here, um, but I'm feeling at a time in my life where um, it is necessary to let go of knowing, let go of the things that I'm not going to do. I have limited resources left in time and in money. I'm not going to retire with a big nest egg. I didn't start working until I dropped out of graduate school in my early 30s. And then it took a while to establish an alternative career once I realized that academic music wasn't going to provide for me. I'm long past worrying about that. That part is okay, but um, this Stoic practice of considering the thing I'm doing right now as potentially the last time I will ever do it. They say the Stoics and the people who write about Stoics will say that we did not know the last time we did something, and they'll choose something obviously sentimental, like I don't. The last time that I read a book to my daughter when she went to bed was 20 years ago. Not quite 20 years ago. But I didn't sit down then and say, child of mine, this is the last time I will ever read a book to you as you fall asleep. And then onwards from there. You never know. Of course, look, on the one hand, this is incredibly banal, right? But the lived experience of this realization occurred to me in moments like this. When surrounded by quite extravagant beauty and good friends and a good time, And yeah, it looked pretty cool. It's an awesome hat. And the hiking shades. So I think maybe that's it for now. I just wanted to talk through the idea of constraints and focus, and I don't know where that leads me. Right now, I'm writing some piano music for a friend who um, asked for it, and I can't really ask for more than that, can I? I'm going to get back to those FM interventions, not interventions. That's a good slip of the tongue. Inventions. Maybe I'll call them interventions instead of inventions. But the last video where I talked about the initial sketches, I'll come back to those in a couple of days, and you can see how I've progressed. So that's something I want to continue putting energy into, because at the end of it, it's a way that I explore what it is to be human, and what it is to be human is not this, right? It's not YouTube videos. Although I find this quite a delightful process, similar to writing a journal. I know that many of you wish that I would edit it, but you can edit it if you don't like the ums and ahs and the slow, ponderous pace of my talking. Anyway, keep your wits about you, and keep your eyes on the channel. More to come soon.